You know, it's not every day that I get the opportunity to talk about Nintendo on this channel, mainly because every time I want to, I require B-roll and gameplay footage, and thanks to Nintendo's draconian approach to when it comes to copyright and fair use on YouTube, I just don't feel like dealing with copyright strikes and claims up the butt on my YouTube channel. It's just easier to pretend they don't exist. But this story that recently broke headlines was so interesting, I wanted to talk about it, so I broke out the cameras, the lighting, and put a fancy little Nintendo Switch logo, since that's the topic we're covering. For the sake of this video, the upgraded rumored piece of hardware we're going to be discussing, I'm going to call it Nintendo Switch Pro or NS Pro to differentiate this rumored device, from the current Switch that's on the market. And with that being said, the rumor suggests that Nintendo might be beefing up the Nintendo Switch's horsepower to refresh the platform to get and meets three main goals. The first goal is 4K, dynamic 4K gaming on Nintendo Switch, which, considering we're living in an era of 4K TVs and PS4 Pro and Xbox One X are both using dynamic resolution scaling techniques to achieve 4K on HDR 4K TVs, I could honestly see them doing this. Only makes sense. Games like Breath of the Wild look great as they are right now, but they would only look better in 4K. So that's the first goal this upgraded Switch plans to achieve. The second is baked in Twitch streaming from the hardware, meaning you hit a share button and you're streaming Twitch just like you can on the competing platforms, which is interesting and great for Twitch streamers, but considering how weird Nintendo is on YouTube when it comes to you using gameplay footage, even if it's your own gameplay footage and B-roll of their consoles or trailers or whatever, I don't exactly understand how this is going to translate well for Twitch streamers unless they're Nintendo partnered, which that doesn't exactly have a lot of advantages if you like to play games outside of Nintendo's ecosystem. So that's number two. The third and final goal that the Switch Pro tends to meet, and this is the real meat and potatoes of this video, and the one part that I really want to dive into, is they want to use the Switch Pro as a means to entice third-party developers and publishers to bring more of their blockbuster AAA games over to the Switch platform. Now, right off the bat, many of you are wondering, well, what about the current Switch base? And that's where things start to get a little muddy. If Nintendo brings out a Switch Pro, which is what I think they should call it, they will have to differentiate the Pro from the base model. And for the sake of this hypothetical scenario, we're going to call the base model the Nintendo Switch Core Experience. Now, the reason I say this is because a lot of what the Switch currently has are Nintendo Switch exclusives, Nindies or Nintendo indie games, and then select few ports of several-year-old third-party games and an occasional relevant up-to-date third-party port, and that's about it. The latter are very few and far between. But with the Nintendo Switch Pro model, you would get all of those aforementioned titles and all of the latest AAA third-party releases. Now, these two models, hypothetically, would appeal to two very different types of demographics. The core model would appeal more so to people that perhaps their primary system is a PlayStation or an Xbox or a PC, but they want to play Nintendo exclusives and they perhaps maybe want to play them on the go. That's where the core model comes in. And hypothetically speaking, let's say Nintendo could drop the price down from, what is it now, $299 down to $199 or even $249, something a little more affordable. But let's say that the Pro model comes in and Nintendo is saying, this is going to offer you the same experience that the Switch does, the current one, our core model, but you're going to be able to get all of the major third-party releases like the upcoming Red Dead Redemption, the upcoming Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Battlefield 5, Overwatch, Assassin's Creed, and whatever other third-party games you can think of that I didn't just mention that aren't currently available on the Switch but are available on PC, PS4, or Xbox One. That would be how Nintendo would sell you the experience. Because the issue Nintendo is running into right now is, yes, they're selling a lot of units. That's great. They're moving a lot of software with their exclusive IPs. Even better. But the problem is Nintendo doesn't have a steady feed of both first and third-party titles. For the sake of argument, Sony Interactive Entertainment has proven this generation that by having a good combination of first and third-party titles constantly being released on your platform, that leads to success. PS4 and PS4 Pro didn't take #1 in the marketplace just by having good exclusives. They did that by having good exclusives and all the same third-party games that the competition does. And Nintendo needs to take this same approach, but with the Switch Pro. This needs to give the players that want an all Nintendo experience with no other platforms the entire gaming experience. all the games from all developers around the world. The Switch Pro needs to be able to handle this. And the way it is right now is I believe Nintendo Switch owners aren't getting a full Nintendo experience, because once they finish their Breath of the Wilds, their Odysseys, their Mario Karts, and their Smash Brothers, what else is there to play? Sure, you can go back and replay the games, nothing wrong with doing that, but you can only replay a game so many times in the generation before you get tired of it. So a lot of Switch users, and maybe you're one of them, go to another platform to experience the third-party games. And I don't know about you, but I personally don't like having my games and my money split amongst multiple ecosystems. I pick one and stick with it through the generation. Nintendo should be trying to do the same thing with the Switch, and I believe that with the Switch Pro, they can, because then you can get every game and any game you want on Switch Pro. Or if you're just interested in Nintendo's games, you get the core model, and then you just get all the Nintendo IPs and the Nindies, and you're good to go. So that's my hypothetical approach. Of course, Nintendo would have to do some extensive research and development and produce a marketing campaign that clearly explains the differentiation between the core and the Pro model and the benefits and drawbacks of each one, and go from there. But a lot of people are upset over the fact that Nintendo would dare even think or even approach this idea when they did it with the 3DS and the new 3DS. The new 3DS could play certain games that the base 3DS model couldn't, and it only makes sense that they would do this with the Switch, considering they launched it at such an awkward time. So, with all of that being said, I would like to hear your comments down there in the comment section, and believe me when I say, I do read your comments. I get them quite a bit. So, I look forward to seeing and reading everything you guys have to say down there. I'd love to hear your thoughts as a Switch owner or as an outside user. And as always, I will see you in the next video. But until then, take care.